Hi, this is Gina. Welcome back to Tight Ship Mama. Today we are moving along down the baby steps, and we are up to baby step 3B, which is saving for a house. And I'm going to just kind of say your first house because that's my experience, and I want to share with you a little bit of what we went through buying our first house. So as you remember, baby step 3 is a fully funded emergency fund, which is 3 to 6 months of living expenses. This baby step 3B is a whole separate chunk of money that you're going to be saving in addition to that 3 to 6 months. So what Dave also recommends is that you try and save 20% of the down payment. So if you're buying a $100,000 home, to have $20,000 down. This is to avoid PMI, or private mortgage insurance, which could run you another couple $100 a month on top of your mortgage payment. He also recommends a 15-year fixed rate mortgage, with the monthly mortgage payment being no more than 25% of your monthly take-home pay. When we were newlyweds, we bought our first home in 2004. And if you were around in 2004, you might remember this was just a housing boom. There were multiple offers on every house. Pretty much if you didn't decide that day that you wanted the house, you were going to lose it in a bidding war. It was no money down, subprime mortgages. Everybody that had a social security number was pretty much getting a mortgage. We were no different, and we were like, we got to get in on this game before we can't afford a house. Now remember, I was working full-time at the time, so what we were approved for was based on 2 full-time salaries. Which brings me to another point. What you are approved for and what you can actually afford are 2 very different things. Stick to those guidelines that Dave lays out for you, and you are going to have so much more freedom in your life. When I talk about freedom, debt freedom, and Dave talks about it, it's not just a number of paying off your credit cards or student loans. There is that when you're shackled to that debt. The other freedom that I really want for you is the freedom of choice. When you buy a house that is above that 25% of your take-home pay, or it's a 30-year mortgage, you are limiting your choices for what you can do with your life. Let me give you the story of our first home. So it was 2004, and we were approved for $400,000. But I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I've known this since I was 5 years old. I was going to stay home with my kids. So one of the smartest things we have ever done financially is to buy our first home based on just my husband's salary. So again, we were approved for $400,000, but we kind of gave ourselves a cap of $200,000 because that's what we could afford on my husband's salary. We went to see a bunch of homes, and we finally went to this beautiful single family home that I just loved. I could see grandkids running around. It was a single family home. I was just head over heels. I think I may have even cried when we walked in the door because I was instantly that much in love. However, it was listed for $209,000, and we thought, that's only $9,000. We can do that. No big deal, right? We see the house. We're like, yes, we want it. We knew other people were coming to see it, so we went all in at $209,000 first offer, and we went out to dinner. Before we even ordered anything, the realtor called us and said, the house is in a bidding war, and it's up to $235,000. What do you want to do? And we're just like, okay. And this is where your head stops making rational decisions and your heart takes over. And we're like, I'll just work another year. That's fine. $235,000. We're going. Come on, let's match it, and we're going. By the time appetizers came, the house was up to $250,000. And then we kind of paused, and we're like, okay, maybe I'll work part-time. And this is where you start getting the gimmies, and you start thinking, oh, I want that house. I can already see where my furniture is going. That's my house. But you know what I didn't see? I didn't see the kids that were coming down the pike. And that's what I really want to get across to you today. If you are at the season of your life where you are buying your first home and you think you're going to have kids or you think you want kids, one of the greatest pieces of advice I can ever give you is to buy a home based on one salary. You are not going to get the home of your dreams. It was really hard for us to walk away from that house, but we bought a house we could very easily afford on one salary, and it has made all the difference. When we would do marriage prep at our church, we would talk to the engaged couples about finances. And when we were in small group, I always said to my group that no matter how much you love your job or your career and you think you want kids or you're not quite sure, when you buy your house, you are really making that decision because you are either giving yourself freedom or you're taking freedom away from yourself, because you will have a major decision to make if and when you decide to have children. And you might think you love your job and your career, but when they hand you that baby, there is a huge difference between wanting to go back to work and having to go back to work. Let that sink in a little bit. We bought our first home. It was an attached home. Here in the United States, we call that a twin where we live, but you only own the one half of it. And all of our friends and family who were about our age, they were buying these big, gorgeous 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath colonials, and pretty much going from what they lived in at their parents' house to their first home being the same equivalent. And we were in what you would traditionally call a starter home. Was it hard? Yes. Was I jealous? Yes. But I kept my eye on the prize, and that was the freedom to stay home with children if I chose to do that. And that's what I am really wishing for you, is to stick to the parameters that Dave gives and really buy a house that you can afford, in my opinion, on one salary. Because if you do choose to go back to work, you can use that whole other salary for daycare, for vacations, for college funds. Like, you'll definitely spend it. There's no doubt about it. So give yourself that freedom. But if you are strapped with these mortgage payments, you won't have the freedom to make the choices that you can or want to make in the future. The other thing was, once I had my first child, my husband was in a job that he absolutely could not stand. And because we had bought a house that we could so easily afford, he could walk away from that job and pretty much cut his salary in half. And we could start over in the industry, the business that he's in now. But we never could have done that if we decided at that Italian restaurant that $250,000 was okay, because we never could have afforded for him to walk away and take the risk financially that he took to build this new business that he has now been in for 13 years. So I encourage you, save your 20%, 15-year mortgage, fixed rate, no more than 25% of your monthly take-home pay, and you will have the freedoms to do what you want to do with your life and your money like none of your peers. Have a great day, and I will see you next Monday. I'll see you on Sunday for the Aldi September Only Challenge. Take care.